I was living in Kansas, and I actually heard about Bawa in April of 1972. I had majored in mysticism and Oriental philosophy, but I was looking for a path really that focused on God and not some of the mystical Hindu and Buddhist things. So my brother had met Bawa and called me. And at the time, there were a couple of Hare Krishna people shaving their heads in my sink of my one-room apartment. And I just heard Bawa's name and decided I would come immediately. So I gave the Hare Krishna people all my food, and I took the train to Kansas City, and then I jumped on the first plane to Philadelphia, and the very next day I was in Philadelphia, 1,200 miles away, meeting Bawa. And the next day after I met Bawa, I asked him if I could live in the house with him, and he said yes. So in just a matter of 2 days, I first heard about him, moved 1,200 miles, and was living with him, sort of at the feet of the holy man. And I never went back.
May I ask one question? This gem that is Guru Bawa, has the process of cutting that gem become complete now?
And மன்னிச்சுக்கணும், இந்த குருபாவா என்ற அந்த மாணிக்கத்தை அந்த வெட்டி இப்போ முடிஞ்சுதான்ட்டு, அந்த மாணிக்கத்தை வெட்டி முடிஞ்சுதான். குருபாவன்னு சொல்றது ஒரு மாணிக்கம், ஆமாம், அதை வெட்டி முடிஞ்சுதான்ட்டு. மன்னிச்சுக்கணும்.
இன்னும் வெட்டி கொண்டு இருக்கிறேன்.
I'm still cutting.
இன்னும் வெட்டி நான் சாணம் பிடிக்கிறேன்.
I'm still taking measures.
மிச்சம் படிக்க வேணும்.
There's a lot to learn.
நான் மாணவன் தான் இன்னும்.
I'm a student.
படிக்கிறேன்.
Learning.
I know that he himself or his disciples are too discreet to really plead with people to come to see him. He's not interested in making millions of disciples. But I personally am absolutely shameless. I will plead with people to come to see Guru Bawa. He's here, and you know, he is a gem, a priceless gem, and you can't give that thing away, you know, unfortunately.
Bawa Muhaiyaddeen was a holy man from the island of Sri Lanka who came to the U.S. in 1971 and eventually founded a mosque and a thriving religious community based in Philadelphia. He had little or no formal education, yet he amassed thousands of followers, wealthy and poor, black, white, and Asian. Bawa accepted no material gain for himself, even refusing to speak at places where admission was charged. He lived the simplest and humblest of lives.
He was a punster. He could make puns across 3 languages. His brilliance in grabbing the moment, his immediate grasp of where to use metaphors in America once he got here, and he watched the TV for a while. You know, he never left his room, and he had all these brilliant metaphors to tell us about.
Everything will happen according to God's intention. Believe in God's actions every day.
These were all spontaneous songs. Occasionally there was a song that may have been sort of a folk song from that part of his world. But in fact, these were songs that were given at the moment. And to me, they didn't have a title. There was no particular song. It had to do with the power that was resonating through him at the time. A very special power. Because I listen to music, and it's all dead music compared to his. And yet, when I first met him, and people were, I did not find this immediately, I might add. there were people who were really blissed out. They would hold their hands up and you could see the beatific look on their face. And I, who had come from a world of opera, said, he's certainly no Richard Tucker. And then I was made to eat those words later. It didn't matter. Richard Tucker didn't have what he had.
He is God who rules us and protects us all the time. He is God who rules us and protects us during all times. Believe in Him. Believe in Him. Believe in Him every day.
I mean, when I first went to the fellowship, we used to sit 20 hours a day in His presence and listen to what He said from morning to night, straight. He talked and worked and cooked and did everything.
He constantly gave of himself. Morning, noon, or night, any time.
Baba was handing out apples to the grown-ups and candies to the children. And the children came first and they were given their candies. And I came in the row of grown-ups. And when it came my turn, he didn't give me an apple, he gave me candies. And I loved it. And much later, he would talk about how we have to become a child again.
I'm
giving work to your brain.
Very funny.
That's very funny. My work is to give work to your brain. And give a beating to your heart, give work to your brain. That's my work.
Understand?
Very funny.
Very funny. Yeah, the whole world is funny.
Arm wrestle?
I'm gonna arm wrestle. I'm gonna arm no. You are big. You are stronger than Bawa.
Oh, that is so sweet.
She wanted that.
Allah is an Arabic name.
God under the English.
God is an English name. Kadavul is a Tamil name.
Yahweh under
Yahweh is another name that we call God by. All names are like that. They're just names.
Noah.
It's called Nuhu in Arabic. They're all Arabic names, and they have English versions. What's in a name? There's nothing in a name. The Bible, the names in the Bible, the names in the Torah, the names in Arabic. They're all the same names.
Siti Mariam.
Now,
Isa
in
udah
Arabic,
tahu, Arab udah.
they say the name of the mother of Jesus was Siti
Mary,
Maryam.
Maria.
And in English, she's called Mary. That's her English name.
Ana இருக்கிறது.
So what is in that? What?
1 point.
There's only one point.
1 God.
One God.
1 உண்மை.
One
1
truth.
prayer.
One prayer.
இதுதான் உண்மை.
This is the truth.
ஆனபடியால் இதுக்கு வேற வேறாக தெரியல.
So they're not separate. They're not different.
போறது
Tell your friends you don't have different names.
சின்னக்கா அங்க இருக்கு. Church அங்க.
Say the reason we go to the fellowship is because the church is there,
பள்ளி அங்க.
the synagogue is there, a Muslim mosque is there, a Hindu temple is there,
அறிவு அங்க.
wisdom is there,
உண்மையை தெரிஞ்சு எடுக்கிறது நாங்க அங்க.
and we go there to find the truth, to
எல்லாம்
learn,
அங்க இருக்கு.
because everything is there.
தனித்தனியா இருந்ததெல்லாம் ஒரு இடத்துல வச்சிருக்கிறபடியா
Outside, everything else is in a separate place.
பிரிவா இருந்தது நாங்க
They exist division by division.
ஒரே
But at the
இடத்துல
fellowship, we have it all in one place and we learn about it all.
யூனிட்டியா ஒரே இடத்துல படிக்கிறோம்.
We learn about it all in one place in unity. That's why we go there.
Understand?
Do you understand?
Somewhere around, I guess, 81 or so, he began to bring it more towards an Islamic flavor. He reintroduced the traditional Islamic 5 times prayers, and we built a mosque.
Everyone then came and pitched in, so really only virtually the block laying for the mosque was the only thing that we contracted out, and all of the woodwork and building and stained glass windows and the calligraphy and marble work and everything was done by people in the fellowship. It was, I guess, to someone who was there, it was just normal fellowship activity, but the mosque was built in 5.5 months from start to finish. And Bawa would come down and look out the window, and everyone wanted to be out there when he was looking, so we went at a great pace, and it is a very beautiful, beautiful mosque. The mosque, he said, was symbolic, of course, of the internal mosque, and this, again, in the creation of man, there's many things to be understood, and the place where we worship is truly the heart.
I never met him. I only saw pictures of him until dedication day. So I saw all these pictures of this little man from Ceylon in a turban, this little guru type guy. And I was asked if I'd like to meet Bawa, and I said, surely. I just had met him very quickly. He was out on a ride, rounding, as he called it, as it's called around here. And I gave him my salams, and he gave me a little bunk on the head. He gave me a little blessing. And that was the extent of my having met him, my meaning of him, until I met him on the dedication day. And then we sat down, and we talked for a while. He mostly talked, I mostly cried. And we told some jokes, and we spoke. I asked him and told him different things that I thought about God. And then he told me about my marriage. And we spoke all about, I guess, sort of semi-serious and funny topics. I told him I had done churches, and now I'd done a mosque, and I told him I needed him to find me a synagogue. That sort of got everybody laughing for a while. And then we got a little more serious, and I started asking him about, does it really matter about what religion you really have? We sort of got down to business. And I told him I was raised in a sort of cross-cultural background. And I said, does it really matter? Don't we just have one God? And he said, that's right, we only have one. And I said, does it matter what religion you call yourself? He says, no. I said, doesn't it really seem to make sense that we all just come from one Father? We're really all brothers and sisters? And he said, yeah, that's right. So I knew immediately that he and I were going to be buddies. And I like what he had to say.
There is nothing other than God. We're all one family. There's no one worthy of worship except for God. The kalima, the acceptance of God, came down at the time of Adam. And it came to each prophet. Each prophet accepted God. But everybody says, we are the religion. We're the only religion. Man broke apart into societies and groups and sections. Man split himself up. And then all the separations, the difficulties, the enmities began. Each person said, I'm greater than you are. I'm better than you are. Man is the only one who looked at these things. But reality does not exist that way. God does not look at things in that way. There's only one.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله
There are a few people in the group who were already Muslims when they met Bawa, but by and large, we are a community of converts.
Conversion, if you would call it that, was almost a spontaneous happening that took place, and there's a part of you that knew you were converted before your mind knew it.
For those who want to pray, he said, let them pray. For those who want to do zikr, let them do zikr. For those who want to do duty, let them do duty. And no one should criticize another for the form of practice that they adopt for themselves. I don't believe that you have to be a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew or a Hindu or a Buddhist or to profess any religion to be a good person and to have a good afterlife. So I don't proselytize, and I think therefore my friends accept me, and as a result of that, have become more interested in Islam because they say, you're not a fanatic. You don't wear the headscarf. Are you really Muslim? How could that be? So, it gives me an opportunity to share my particular take on it, and that's largely because of the teachings of Bawa Muhaiyaddeen.
My heart has so many thoughts. My heart has so many thoughts. It moves here and there, never still. And it is tickled by everything it sees. And I keep on crying, that mind which cannot be controlled. That mind which cannot be controlled shouts and yells in arrogance. Arrogance will attack karma. Karma will attack illusion. The three will roll together and destroy the world. And then afterwards take many rebirths, being destroyed over and over again. turning into another, just another illusion, another ghost, another demon, another cat, a dog, a weed, a bush, finally ending as a worm, which is food for hell. That's what will happen. Realize that this is your destiny one day. A mind, ever-moving mind.
The ceremony we're here today is the anniversary of the death of our Shaikh, Muhammad Rahim Bawa Muhaiyaddeen, who's buried in the shrine here, which we call a mazar. Prayers are going on in the prayer tent. People are meditating up in the shrine, and hundreds of people are basically sitting and talking to each other. People from India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Canada, America, England, all over the world. And this is one of the biggest times of the year that we all get together. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. 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 Shaikh Muhaiyaddeen, Kuri Ambinodu, Amamaha Potrugome, La ilaha illallahu, La ilaha illallahu, La ilaha illallahu, Muhammadur Rasulullah.
It's one of Bawa's recipes. It's one of Bawa's vegetable curries. Grated potatoes, grated carrots, vegetables like peas and limas and corn, several cups of dal or yellow split peas, fresh blooming thyme, and fresh sage and marjoram, and all of the spices. And it's straight from Bawa's cookbook. Inshallah, it's tasty.
When you make that leap of faith and to do the fasting in Ramadan, and you give up eating and drinking during the day, and it's very physical, it puts you closer to the help of God. And what you don't realize when you're going to do it is that the blessing is the proximity to God. And all of a sudden, you have nothing, and you're very conscious of how God is helping you and the grace of God. And you become more aware of the intangible parts of your life. And just the cooking that we're doing tonight. We can't taste the food. You know, we cook every night during Ramadan without even being able to taste the food we're cooking. And it constantly comes out as amazing. And so that alone is just a small example of just the little mysteries of Ramadan. And then being with all of the people really blends the community together and makes us more conscious of each other. But we're sort of in it together, so it's really a community building experience.
Hayya al-salah, hayya al-salah, hayya al-falah, hayya al-falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
Here's some.
What is it like to practice Islam? You know, I was thinking about that this morning, and I think where the trouble comes, particularly now in the world, with Islam and this word Islam, which some people flee from, others throw stones, and others fall in reverence. But what does it mean? I mean, we here in the fellowship know what Bawa told us, that Islam means peace. And there are many definitions of it that came from his mouth, and all of them had to do with purity, with compassion, with wisdom, with understanding, with the qualities of God, that Islam in its purest sense was treating others' lives like our own, was bringing peace to other people if we were able to do that, centered around peace and compassion.
What mysticism shows us is that there is no difference at the deepest level. And this is the place where all the religions meet. And this was what Bawa taught. And in my own experience, as a person brought up in Christianity, I still go to church. I've gone to synagogue. I've been to Buddhist meditations with Thich Nhat Hanh and others. And I find no difference. When you get beyond the outer trappings, there is no difference, because all of us are the same in our inner core. This is what Bawa taught us, that we are all rays of light from that one reality, and that I am you and you are I. And when we learn this, when we deeply know this, we could no longer hurt one another. We could no longer impoverish one another. This is what he taught. This is what he lived. And while I am nowhere near that kind of deep understanding of it, even at the levels that I've been able to attain in worshiping with others in their traditions, I have felt that merger, that connection. And so I've had enough of a taste of it to believe emphatically that it's true.
أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول